Hello and welcome to Mac and Mac's college football program right here on the Grueling Truth Network. Sean McCormick here with my son Ryne McCormick, and we're going to get ready to talk and discuss week one for the big boys of the NCAA, a.k.a. the FBS. Ryne, I know we had an earlier game that kicked it off in Australia a few days ago. California just lambasted Hawaii 51-31. Not a great way for Hawaii to get started. They've lost 10 of its last 11 games. They're just not quite the team they were a few years ago.
No, they're not. And, I mean, Davis Webb transferred from Texas Tech. Had a great aerial attack, going 37 of 53, 436 yards. And 4 of those made it to the end zone. And those are the kind of games that I think most college football fans like to see.
I still like to see the nice defensive struggles. I mean, I like offense, but it's always fun to watch them shut down a high-powered offense, too. And that's something that Hawaii was severely lacking a couple of days ago.
Well, and apparently I think that's what Hawaii's been lacking their past 10 out of 11 games, because you're not going to win many games giving up 50 or more points on the scoreboard.
Yeah, no. Now it's time to start talking about what's coming up in the next over the next few days. Big talk in Dallas. Dallas, everything is big there. Well, number 1 Alabama preseason choice going up against number 20 Southern Cal. We're going to be discussing that in just a few minutes, but we did want to talk a little bit about some other teams and then get to the big showdown between Bama and USC. Now, you drop it back just one notch, and you've got number 2 Clemson. They're a very good team, obviously. Last year proved it. Not quite to the point of Alabama, but, Deshaun Watson and company, they're going to be coming into Auburn's home field, and they're going to be ready to play some ball, don't you think?
Yeah, they are going to be ready to play, and, I mean, they're bringing back Deshaun Watson, who is one of the most explosive players in all of college football, and he's still versatile in what he can do. He can throw, he can run. They're coming off a year where they averaged 38 points a game and over 500 yards of total offense. I think the thing that's going to take a while for the Clemson Tigers to get back on board with is their defense, just returning only 4 starters.
Yeah, that hurts. That's a definite down point for the Tigers of Clemson. We've got 2 Tigers on this on the field now. I'm talking about Clemson on the road. It's not something that's a given. I mean, last year they did have that big 58-0 shutout at Miami, but in the other 4 road games, they barely won some of those games. I mean, they beat Louisville by 3 and South Carolina by 5. So, do you think the Auburn home crowd is going to get into their head a little bit?
Well, and Auburn's always a tough place to play, but I really think the difference factor is going to be Deshaun Watson in that offense, as offenses are normally ahead of the defense at this stage of the game.
Yeah, I just think it's going to be a pretty good game. I don't think many people are taking Auburn, giving them that much of a chance. I really don't think that, especially when you look at last year's numbers. They ranked 95th in the NCAA in time of possession. That means that they can't keep that high-powered Clemson offense off the field. And if you can't keep them off the field, then you're going to be in for a long night.
Yeah, you're in for a really long night. Auburn's game plan all summer long was probably to go in here, play good, solid defense, and run the ball and try to control the clock a little bit better than they did last year.
Okay. Next up, number 4, Florida State versus number 11, Ole Miss. Just as a reminder, I'm Sean McCormick, along with Ryne McCormick. We are Mac and Mac, and it's our college football program right here on the Grueling Truth Network. Florida State, the Noles are the Noles. They've been good for so many years. It's just a given. Do you think this year they're going to jump from number 4 and compete for the national championship?
I think they have a chance to play for the national championship, and I think it comes down to what we just previously talked about. And Clemson, since they're both coming out of the ACC, and I think the winner of that you're going to see in the national championship game come January.
Yeah. Now, speaking of the game coming up this weekend, number 11 Ole Miss. That's not a slouch.
No, it's not a slouch. Ole Miss has a knack for pulling off upsets year in and year out, and they've got a pretty good opportunity now. There was some quarterback controversy earlier on in the season at the beginning of camp, but he was kind of handed the starting quarterback job when Sean McGuire went down with an injury. So DeAndre Francois we'll see what he's made of. Redshirt quarterback playing against an SEC team week 1 to start your career. We're going to see how good you are.
Yeah, it's no given, but I'm really kind of leaning towards Ole Miss on this one, and I can't really give a good reason other than the fact that they have a pretty good defense. Rebels come ready to stop teams, and like you said, they're in the SEC, so it's not like they're going to be playing a lot of slouch offenses throughout the season. So they need to always be on the up and up there. And I do think the Rebels may have a chance to win this one.
No, Florida State's always year in, year out's got a pretty sound defense. Dalvin Cook returns as a running back for the Florida State Seminoles, and I think they're going to rely a lot on him as to not put a bunch of pressure on their redshirt quarterback.
Yeah, and that makes a lot of sense. So we're going to disagree there, as I'm going to go with Ole Miss.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Florida State.
Okay, and one of the other games I wanted to talk about, also in Texas, it's coming up on Sunday. It's at AT&T Stadium. I'm going back to my Alabama game there, and I'm not going to talk about Alabama yet. We're going to talk about Notre Dame's visit to the University of Texas. Austin, Texas is going to be just rocking. You know, the Fighting Irish, they bring the people in, and you know there's no place like Texas to watch football. Do you think Notre Dame can take this game and do with Texas with what they want to do?
Yeah, and I know Notre Dame fans aren't going to want to hear this, but I think it's going to be a lot better game, a lot closer game than Notre Dame hopefuls are hoping for. But Deshaun Kitzer returns at quarterback for the Fighting Irish. Last year, Notre Dame averaged 207 yards a game on the ground, and I look for them to come out and run the rock against a strong, up-and-coming Texas defense.
We're talking about a home crowd here, a raucous home crowd, Texas. I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be close for a while, and it seems like Brian Kelly teams. They also seem to play up to that mantra, if you will. They seem when they're supposed to really take on a team, they keep them in it. They keep them in it for a while, and sometimes it's working for the good. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes they can't top them. I mean, they've had some tough games early on, and that's normally where Notre Dame's downfall has been in the quest for the championship. I don't think Fighting Irish is going to take these guys for granted, though.
No, I don't think they're going to take it for granted. I mean, especially playing at Texas week 1. You know, Charlie Strong's going to have his team ready to go. And like I said, with Notre Dame wanting to run the ball, typically Brian Kelly's teams do start off slow and pick it up. I look for it to be a game in the first half and Notre Dame run away with it in the second half.
Yeah, I mean, of the two quarterbacks, who do you prefer, Malik Zaire or Deshaun Kaiser?
I like Deshaun Kaiser.
And as far as that goes, they've got a healthy Terrion Folston and Josh Adams, so there's going to be lots of ground gaining for the Fighting Irish. I have a feeling.
Yeah, I think they're going to try to run the ball. They've got a great defense returning, as we talked about in last week's show. And I think they're going to pound the rock and play good, solid defense. Notre Dame is actually 3.5-point favorites, and I believe they get the cover and the win.
Yeah, and you were talking about the strong defense of Notre Dame. They're going to be playing a freshman quarterback, Shane Bichelle. That is that's a daunting task right there. Everyone's saying that Bichelle is going to be a great quarterback, but he's getting thrown into the fire early.
He is getting thrown into the fire early, and against like we just said, a great Notre Dame defense. So I think that you're going to see Charlie Strong and the Texas Longhorns come out with short pass plays, give him some confidence, run the ball, and try to keep his confidence up as the game goes on.
Okay, now another big game this coming weekend. Number 3 Oklahoma going against the University of Houston. Houston, kind of the redheaded stepchild, if you will. The Cougars not getting a lot of respect last year, even though they put on some tremendous games, and it just seems that Oklahoma this could be an upset in the making here. Do you think that's true?
Yeah, I really do. I actually like the Cougars this week to upset Oklahoma. Even though it's week 1 and you're not overlooking teams quite yet in the season, I look for Houston to come out of the gates and put it to Oklahoma.
Yeah, there is the Houston defensive secondary. That's a question mark that is on a lot of Houston fans, as well as those throughout the nation. And the Oklahoma Sooners think they can take advantage of that. Now, if the Houston secondary can put itself and stay up and allow the other guys to blitz and stay aggressive, it could be more than the number 3 versus an unranked team. However, I don't think the Sooners are going to falter on this. I really think that I think the Sooners are just going to be too tough for them.
I do like Houston to pull it out in the end. It's going to be a great game. I'm really excited to watch the game. You got 2 great quarterbacks in Baker Mayfield and Greg Ward Jr., 2 of the most exciting quarterbacks in college football. I believe we're going to see a lot of points scored on Saturday.
And again, that's something you like to see. And most people are. They're in favor of. They haven't quite gone the way of the NFL, but college football has revamped the rules a little bit, and they want to see the high-scoring offenses on the field.
Well, and you mentioned the NFL and college football, and even really high school football. They're making the rules to protect the players, which are opening up the avenues for more points to be scored, because you cannot be as physical on defense.
Okay, now moving it up just a couple notches. Number 5 LSU. This is an interesting game. They're going to play the University of Wisconsin in Green Bay, Lambeau Field. I'm not sure how many college games have ever been played at Lambeau, but it's definitely a home game for Wisconsin. LSU, I can't see them overlooking or even thinking about losing to the Badgers. I mean, this is a big thing too. SEC versus Big Ten.
Well, Wisconsin's coming off of a 10-win season last year, averaging over 150 yards a carry, and this is going to be more your style of football, with Wisconsin only allowing 13 points a game. I don't think either team reaches 20, and whichever one does wins.
Yeah, Wisconsin could be a little surprising in the Big Ten this year, but their defense, the Badgers have to try to stop Leonard Fournette, and almost 2,000 yards rushing last year, 22 touchdowns. Now 300 carries. That could have a long-term effect on him, but I don't think it's going to bother him this young in his career.
No, I mean, he's a 235-pound back. Wisconsin's really got their hands full. You're going to see similar style offenses in Wisconsin and LSU. You're going to see great defensive play and come out and run the ball. Whoever gets the last stop wins.
Yeah, I know. A lot of folks are focusing on what happens if quarterback Brandon Harris is to be relied upon. LSU, I mean, he's known to throw interceptions. LSU could be in trouble if he throws a couple of early picks or just doesn't get the offense moving.
Yeah, I think Fournette's gonna kind of take the load off of the pressure for Brandon Harris as far as throwing the ball. I really think even though they're facing a great Wisconsin defense and returning defense, I think that they're going to pound the rock with Fournette, and LSU comes out with the win.
I think LSU is going to win it. I think it may be tight, maybe a field goal game, but I think a field position. Both coaches are from that ilk. They like to play the field position game, and I think the team that makes the least mistakes will end up winning, which normally happens in college football or any football. But and I would even preface to say the team with a defensive score may have the road to victory.
I would totally agree with you. And as you just said, it's going to be a field possession game. Special teams is going to be a key factor in this game. Could come down to a block punt, fake punt, missed field goal, made field goal.
Okay. Just a reminder, you are listening to Mac and Mac's College Football Program on the Grueling Truth Network. Now, Ryne, as far as the big game, number 1 Alabama going into Dallas Saturday night against number 20 Southern Cal. So you're really both teams travel well as far as fans. So you can't really say that even though Texas is a little bit closer to Alabama than it is Los Angeles, I don't see any kind of a crowd going one way or another. I just see 80,000 people in AT&T Stadium being ready to see a good football game. The question is whether USC can provide the opposition that is needed to stop Alabama.
Well, an interesting stat in this game, just to kick this game off, is USC has won 17 opening season games in a row. Alabama has won 14 consecutive openers. And I like the Tide in this one. I really do. I like Bama to win the national championship, so why wouldn't I like them to win week 1?
All right. And, speaking of defense, defensive end Jonathan Allen's going to lead a staunch Bama squad. The 6'3", 294-pound senior. He had 12 sacks last year. He probably, the NFL probably wasn't too happy, but he decided to stick around. He's returning after that season. I'm sure he's looking to get a little better draft position, and especially seeing it in the bright lights week 1, national television versus USC. I can see him making a couple of important plays.
Well, and as far as defense for the Tide, Reuben Foster is actually the only returning linebacker this year for the Tide. So we're going to see how the young linebackers play against a very, very athletic USC team right off the bat. Max Brown is a former National High School Player of the Year who has been waiting his turn at USC, and he has a lot of playmakers around him to help him out. That's saying the least.
Yeah, USC. I just don't see them hanging. It's just not meant to be. The only thing that I keep thinking of is, a lot of times you get these opening games, and by the third quarter you're like, okay, we're gonna, let's click on to something else because it's just going to be a blowout. And I just have a feeling that Bama is going to make it that way. I I don't see USC staying in this game past the first half.
No, I totally agree. I think two words can sum up this game in the state of Alabama would go nuts, and that's roll tide.
Okay. And that's going to wrap up Mac and Mac's college football program on the Grueling Truth Network. I'm Sean McCormick.
And I'm Ryne McCormick. It's always a pleasure.
And stay tuned as we will continue to bring you weekly updates on college football and be talking the great game of football itself.